All right, a very warm welcome back to Game Changers, your number one tech service show whose aim is to bring you and me up to speed on trending and emerging technologies that are adaptable in and out of our daily interactions. Next, we shall be looking into how best we can enhance trust in the e-commerce space. And to help me discuss this on how we can go about enhancing trust is Mr. Robert KAMARU, founder and CEO, Escrow Kenya. They have been in the industry for over now 13 months. That is 1 year, 1 month. We can say we can trust them, right? Okay, so welcome, Mr. Robert.
Thank you so much for having me, Tabitha.
All right, I love the name Escrow.
Thank
and I love
you.
the fact that you guys have been there for now 13 months, 1 year, 1 month, which is quite commendable. Looking at what you guys have done so far. And maybe you can start with understanding what is Escrow. How did you come about with the name?
Now, Escrow is, it's not exactly a creative name, it's actually an English word. It describes arrangements in where a trusted middle party holds money and instruments on behalf of two other parties who are transacting and ensures that these two parties fulfill their obligations. In case there are any disputes, then they help in arbitrating the disputes. And that's where we borrowed. It's very common in the property market. We are kind of just replicating that in the e-commerce space. Online buyers do not trust online merchants. You're selling me a phone, I don't trust you, I don't know you. So we come in between the two parties, we hold the buyer's payment, ask the seller to deliver the items that are being bought, and then when the buyer confirms that they received the item, we release the money to the seller.
Okay.
Just simply like that.
You're the intermediary between the customer, not the buyer, and the seller.
That's correct.
So maybe you can look at with a lot of cybercrimes affecting business transactions in the country, this has been a trend, So how do you deal with the uptick on your end?
Now, for one, when you mention cybercrime, apart from the point of say now where people take others' money and they do not fulfill their obligations, we have issues of, say, like credit card fraud, where somebody uses another person's credit card to make payment. Now, for us, we are currently not accepting cards, but we have plans to be accepting cards in the future. But then that would be determined by whether the card processor would restrict payments to be only coming from cards that have 3D verification. With 3D verification, you get that you not only key in the card details, but you also maybe get an SMS with an OTP, or you get an email confirming that you are actually the one who owns that card.
So maybe we can look at how it works on the ground. I want to buy something that I have seen online. Maybe from Amazon, a certain dealer, someone is selling maybe a dress, a shoe. How do you go about that?
Now, here's how it works. We have two ways through which transactions can be created and executed on our website. One is where they are created manually on our website. Amazon would be quite ambitious. I'd probably look at maybe on a Facebook group or on platforms like Pigiami, or Gigi, these digital marketplaces. I'm like, I really like what you're selling, but then I don't know you, I don't trust you. But there is this company, Escrow Kenya, could we at least transact through that platform? So once we agree to that, either the seller or the buyer can initiate the transaction. So they just come to our website, escrowkenya.com, sign up, and then we have a start transaction button where you click, you get an order form where you indicate, I am selling, say, a phone, selling it for this much. We've agreed that it should reach the buyer, say, by the day after tomorrow, 21st. I indicate that date, and then I provide their phone number or email address. Once I create that transaction, the other party, that's the buyer, gets an SMS, gets an email inviting them to join that transaction. So they'll just, if they haven't registered, then they register, then they'll find the transaction already created in their account. So they just accept that invitation, and the next thing they make payment. We have two payment options.
Yeah.
Customers can make payment using M-Pesa, or they can make payments for large transactions, say in hundreds of thousands. They make payment using transfers to our bank. So we receive the payment, and it's updated automatically. The seller gets a notification. We have received money in escrow. You'll see it in your account balance. Proceed with delivery. So the seller logs in, confirms, oh, the money is actually here in my Escrow Kenya account.
Yeah.
I can proceed with delivery. So they deliver the goods and then just sit back.
Yeah.
When the buyer receives their goods and they confirm that everything is okay, just log into their Escrow Kenya account, open the order, click approve order, and the money is released to the seller. In case the buyer does not receive whatever they were buying, there's a waiting time. Say we've said it's supposed to reach the buyer by 21st. So on 21st, the buyer will see another button there. Beside approve order, they'll see a button, dispute order. So they are, by clicking that, they are letting us know there is a problem. I did not receive the goods, or whatever I received is significantly not as I expected. So they raise a dispute. They have the option to communicate with the seller on our chat system. If they resolve the dispute, then the buyer can just withdraw the dispute and the money is made available. Alternatively, they can escalate the dispute to us. We contact the seller, ask them to provide proof of delivery. We verify the proof of delivery. If we are able to validate it, then we deny the claim. That's how we protect sellers as well. In that we continue holding the money until we establish that delivery was actually not done. But if the seller is unable to provide that, or they provide fake information about delivery, we rule the case based on the buyer's favor, and the buyer gets a refund.
Wow.
Yeah.
Quite challenging. So have you had cases where you have returned the money to maybe a buyer?
Yeah, out of we have about 440 something. As of this morning, there were 444 transactions. Out of those, we've had 12. We've had 12 where there were issues. Out of those 12, 10 were genuine, where we refunded the buyer. 2 were not genuine. The buyer was attempting to scam the seller. So we were able to get the proof of delivery. We were able to validate it, and we denied the claim to the buyer.
So what, besides the trust issues, what other challenges are you facing?
Currently, I'd say the biggest challenge we are facing is that, because in a way, not even in a way, we are removing trust issues between the buyer and the seller. But then in effect, we are transferring the trust issues to the two party against us. Because for a transaction to happen, then both the buyer and the seller must be sold out on using our service. So to counter that, we are creating massive awareness about our services. I know it takes time, especially given it's a really new business. Nobody else has done this in Kenya. So yeah, but I'd say we are kind of dealing with it well. And in terms of creating awareness that you've just mentioned, how have you stood from the rest of e-commerce service providers in the country? Like I mentioned, we are really a new business, and it's a totally new concept in Kenya. So we don't really have people we can benchmark with. But of course, we do a lot of digital campaigns on all social media platforms, even on YouTube. We've been lucky to be consistently featured in the media every now and then, and even recently in the KCB Lions Den, we were there. So all these factors are giving us good credibility, which is very much needed on a day-to-day basis. And
looking at maybe legal requirements or any other requirements that I would need to set up this kind of business, what are these legal requirements that one would need to set up an online trade just like you guys? To
set up an internet escrow service business? That's an interesting question, because just now we've come from having a meeting with CBK. It happens to be a really new area, and like with most tech products, especially fintech, there is constant need for formulation of regulations and policies on that. So at best, we are working with CBK, who is our potential regulator, in what requirements
Yeah.
we would need, or we would what policies we would need to have in place. Yeah. So the important thing is that we are working with the regulator. Yes.
And there are risks involved.
Yes.
How do you manage that?
For one, I'd say the most serious risk we would be facing would be regulatory risk, where you are operating without compliance to regulations.
Yeah.
You don't want a situation where you're growing and then once you've grown, you're shut down. So which we are already addressing, like I've mentioned. The other risk would probably be now fraud, outright fraud, where somebody uses another person's financial mode of payment to make payment, and then there's a whole case. That's why we are currently staying away from cards.
Yeah.
But like I mentioned, we are looking for ways to take care of that.
Yeah. Great. And so far being featured on KCB Lions Den, getting all this media publicity out there, what can we say? And you have mentioned something very important, 444 transactions that you have done today so far. Yeah. So what future are you looking into?
Oh, and I forgot to mention, I mentioned only one way through which transactions can be created. We have a second way, which is our core business strategy. We have an API offering through which people who have e-commerce stores, you sell products on our website, we can just give you some code you put on your website, such that a buyer will have the option to either pay through Escrow or just pay to you directly. This we are also offering to digital marketplaces, the likes of Gigi. Gigi was the former OLX. The likes of Pigami. When they put that on their marketplaces, we will be able to secure transactions on that website in the background. Yeah. So that would really help, especially with digital marketplaces. You'll find that there are certain marketplaces where you mention this and they are like, oh, those guys, that's a place full of scammers. We're going to get rid of that. That's actually our core strategy, where we are the team working in the background, making payments and business on digital marketplaces secure. Yeah.
And before we come to the future and conclude, how is your team like? What number of people are you working with?
Right now we are a team of 8. We are myself and my co-founder, and 2 more shareholders. Then we have we have a team of 2 in the office taking care of operations, and another one who is the developer. Yeah. As the business probably grows, especially with the coming of the API, then we'd probably need more people, especially in the customer service and support.
And maybe extend or rather have more services?
Probably have more services. I can't say we are not ambitious. We are quite an ambitious lot. We would definitely be looking toward the property market, because we get a lot of inquiries. People in diaspora, I want to buy land, but I'm not sure if I send money to family, watakula, friends, all such things. Yes, we are definitely very ambitious. We'll be looking forward to that, but for now we are just growing. We are a baby. We are just growing.
You're making it in the Kenyan tech space. Yeah. So what future are we looking into?
The future we are looking at is where we are. You'll find us on major digital marketplaces, not only in Kenya, even in East Africa and the rest of Africa, and who knows, even the rest of the world.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, so that is your camera. You can tell people they can find you on social media, and maybe even your physical location. Yeah.
So you can find us on all social media platforms. We are at Escrow Kenya, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, even on YouTube and LinkedIn. You can find us on our website, www.escrowkenya.com, and also you're always welcome to our offices along Thika Road, opposite Garden City Mall, a building called Blessed House, 1st floor, Suite 56.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me, Tabitha.
Quite a game changer.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so there you've had it, and the best thing that you can do as Kenyans is support upcoming tech game changers in the tech industry to improve Kenya's tech market. From me, Tabitha Muthoni, I'd like to say thank you very much for watching Game Changers and enjoy the rest of your viewing.